All right, real quick about posture. So there's a misconception of what totally relaxed is. Has anyone ever said, be totally relaxed when you play? Has anyone ever said that to you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Has anyone ever said, be more relaxed?
Yeah.
I like more relaxed because we can all do that. Total relaxation is a misnomer, though. Total relaxation would probably look something more like this, right? Total relaxation. There are muscles that are used in the body to stand up, all right? There's two types of muscles, actually, in this kind of context. There's muscles called postural muscles. Those are the muscles that help us maintain our posture. And then, well, against gravity, because gravity wants us to do this. And then there are, it's called phasic or tonic, doesn't really matter. You know, if you want to write it down, great, but you'll be a fine musician without the knowledge of that word. But the other ones are called phasic or tonic, and those are the ones that do the movement. Those are the ones that do the lifting, all right? I want to pick up this folder here. There are muscles that have to get engaged. Different set of muscles. It's kind of cool. Postural muscles, for those of you that want to see some big words that are kind of in Latin, those are the names of some very common muscles. These muscles called erector spinae, erect, your back, pull you up erect, and they're near your spine. So erector spinae, different sets, different parts of it, blah, blah. The phasic or tonic muscles, those muscles. So your thoracic region, your abs, those are phasic or tonic muscles. All right, tension is progressive. How many of you have played a video game of sorts? How many of you have played a new video game where you're not very good at it, and you just get really tense when you're trying to push the button? That's exactly, all right, minus the hair, that is exactly what I look like when I play the game. Horrible at it. But when we try harder, we end up recruiting more and more muscles to try to get the job done. So you'll notice, I have my rhythmic gymnastic person from Bison. You see the little red dot? That red dot represents tension. What happens is tension, generally, if you were to draw a line through the middle of the body, a line through the middle of the body, a line through the middle of the body, you have kind of a central point near your core. Essentially, tension spans out from there and kind of goes outward. So as we're doing stuff, more and more stuff gets recruited. You know, so it can kill our resonance because we lose that ease. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're playing a video game and you use your fingers, it's going to spread out from the use of that muscle, and then your arms are going to get tense, your shoulders are going to raise, and your face is going to get all contorted, you know, and your face does not help you push the button, right? Yeah. Okay. So now, just really quickly, I'm going to turn on the lights a little bit because we're going to get some cool stuff. But I've got a couple of suggestions for you on ways that you can increase your resonance, things that you can do, basic things. There's a couple of stretching and breathing things I want to show you that you can take with you. How many of you have a mock audition later this week? This would be a great thing to do before that mock audition, to get nice and relaxed and elongated and play your best. So, will you turn on the lights?
No.
Alright. Let's go ahead. If you would be so kind, I'd actually like everyone to be able to stand up and be able to have enough room to do this without hitting personal space. Okay. First things first. I won't get into too much of the biomechanical properties, but basically what we want to do is start with our feet roughly shoulder width apart and roughly parallel. When I say parallel, I mean our feet are going like this, not like this, and not like this, but like this. Marching band. Some of this might be a review. Dance. Some of this might be a review. You know, okay, great. So, roughly shoulder width apart, roughly parallel. Most people, when they go to their parallel, they're actually still turned out a little bit. So you might have to think about like hitching and toeing just a little bit to be parallel. All right, I'd like you to go up onto your toes like this. Go up the toes. Now, there's two things that happen when you go up onto the toes. You can relax, or you can go up and down and just kind of, you know, check that out. There's something we want to avoid in terms of the mechanics of our body. Have you ever heard of the term called a sickle?
Yeah.
Grim Reaper, or the thingy, the scythe. Thank you, yeah. The sickle is very similar to the scythe. A sickle, I'll show you real quick. A sickle is where you lose the alignment of your ankles and you do this. You know, ankles pop out to the side. Yeah. Very bad to do. Don't do that. So the way that you avoid doing that is essentially what we want to do is we want to think about where our hips are. And our hips have those ball and socket joints with our femurs. They have a little ball and socket joint there. there. We want to think about a straight line, a laser, if you will, that travels down from there in a straight line all the way through our big toes. And we think about kind of pressing into the big toes, and we use the big toes as the prime mover. So when you go up on your toes, think about engaging the big toe. Does that make it a little easier to go up with the toes and kind of balance there? Yeah? A little bit? A little bit, okay. And wobble around a little bit, that's okay. So now what I want to do is I want to just take a couple of breaths. And generally when a group does this, they tend to synchronize, but you don't have to. If you're individually doing your own thing, you kind of, center yourself and relax, then what you would want to do is you breathe in through your nose. And as you're breathing in through your nose, you would raise your arms. And the goal would be that when you are at a 100% inhalation, your arms are at the top. And then you would exhale. You can exhale through your mouth if you want, or your nose, and you would exhale. And the goal would be, when you get to that point where to exhale any further, you've got to start squeezing, that's when you're here. Take another breath. Let's all try that once together. So your feet are roughly shoulder width apart, roughly parallel. Some of you may have migrated a little bit. And everything's nice and relaxed. And breathe in through your nose. Exhale with your left. You know those little, you might not be familiar with those wine openers, but the ones that look like little elementary swimmers. Yeah, I think about that because like when you put the arms down, the head goes up. And for me, I think about getting taller when I do this. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to do that 3 times. And on the 3rd time, what we'll do is we'll take that inhale, and then when we exhale, we're going to do a compound movement. We're going to exhale, arms to the side, we're going to go up onto our toes, and we're going to find our balance point, like that Da Vinci picture does. Okay, so let's try it. Nice and relaxed. Feet roughly shoulder width apart, so you can get a little wide. All right, nice and relaxed. Experiencing more expansion in your respiratory cavity than you are used to. That's one. Now exhale onto the toes, arms to the side. Find that point of balance. The big toe, think about elongation. When you have the balance, lower the arms. Now from this position, I think about elongating my body so that my head remains where it is right now, but as I elongate my body, my heels is a wide body. Okay, go ahead and relax. I'll explain that a little bit. So what happens is, we have a bit of a balance point. I'll do it from the side here so you can see it a little more. When you go up on the toes, you actually change the leverage of your feet. It goes from a 3rd-class lever to a 2nd-class lever. You don't need to know that. But everything kind of shifts forward onto the front of your toes. Watch what happens. Get to a point where you can kind of see me on the side angle. So come to this place here. When you go up on your toes, the center point of the body is affected. It's actually shifted forward. So when I return to my heels, see how everything kind of shifts backwards a little bit? Yeah, it shifts. You see how I kind of like go backwards? Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to find that point. Theoretically, if I go too far back, all sorts of muscles up here start engaging to keep you from falling over. If I go too far to the front, all sorts of muscles start engaging to keep you from going to the front. Theoretically, any direction in 360 degrees, muscles will start engaging to keep you from falling over. So what I want to do is I want to find that central point where muscles do not have to really engage. We get it relaxed and it's easy as possible to stand. So when I come up on the toes, I try to be one with this particular position. And then as I come down, I lengthen. There's there's a point where I rock back, and then I can feel all of the muscles in the front, quads, legs, toes, whatever, give in and let go. And then from there, it's almost as if my hips start doing this. Does that look weird? You can say that. So what I think about when I do that, here's a string. You remember when Gene and I had the slinky? We did the energy thing? All right, sine wave, right? So it has a node, right? There's a node down there. And it's kind of like a big sine wave that's two-dimensional. But sometimes, you can have nodes in different places if you're doing frequencies and whatever. So I think about my body like this string. And therefore, if this is a nice, if we have that fundamental frequency, and we're getting resonance, right? We're getting that big wave. That's right about my hips. So theoretically, I want my hips to be able to move freely within that space that doesn't require any motion. It doesn't require any exertion, all right? So there's a lot of kind of just floating around, almost as if my body is a string, and my head is a helium balloon that will just kind of float away. So for me, when I come down to that last breath, and I find my balance, and I come down, and everything's cool, all of a sudden things will just kind of start. They'll just kind of start moving on their own. So this time what I'd like to do, I'd like to take that last breath to back where we go. I'd like to just take that last breath where we open our toes. We release the arms, we come back down to the elongation. And I just want you to try to find that central balance point and just take inventory and see if your body just kind of starts moving around a little bit. If it does start moving around a little bit, like just say, hey, I'm moving, or like raise your hand, or do something so we can kind of see like if it's happening for you. Okay, so go ahead, find your personal space. Feet roughly shoulder width apart, roughly parallel. That's actually very important for single-minded, so it's actually it's a thing. Okay, so breathe in through the nose, nice and relax. And exhale, up onto the toes, onto the sides, find that point of balance. Think big toe, we don't want to sit. You have that point of balance, go ahead and lower the arms. And now, lengthening the body. Keeping the head where it remains, allow the body to lengthen. Heels return to the ground. Body rocks back just a little bit. Legs let go. We just allow the body to float. And we feel like there's a little bit of a flotation going on. Yeah, who feels it a little bit? Yeah. Is that a new sensation? Have you felt it before? Yeah, you felt it before? A lot of times these instruments weight us down and we lose track of that. So that's one thing that I can go ahead, you can have a seat. In your seats. You can do it in your chair too. So in my chair, as a bass trombonist, I play in a couple of orchestras. I play in the Carmel Symphony, I play in the Terrebonne Symphony, and I study the Indianapolis Symphony. Pardon? Have you been in the concerts? No. You been in the concerts and played? Have you seen the ball guy play bass trombone? That's me. Say hi. Next time we'll
I didn't know you.
No, but now we do. So it's good. Yeah. All right. So what you can do while seated. My point is, as a bass trombonist in orchestra, I count a lot of members of press. A lot. Like we played Beethoven's Ninth up there. I have over 1,000 members of rest. I counted them because I had to. My job, right? So, but how many of you sit in rehearsals where maybe your efforts and talents are not fully utilized the entire time? How many of you play pieces in concerts where you've got extended periods of rest before you go? So you all know what I'm saying. So one of the things that you can do to kind of focus yourself, center yourself, balance yourself, and allow resonance to happen is if you think about sitting upright in your chair, nice and tall. And you think about your tailbone kind of driving out of the chair as if that's like the point of the needle. And then much like the upper half of the body is a string, I just want to let it float around. If you watch closely, you probably saw me do this in like every second movement of every major work as the bishop was passing. This is what I do. I sit there. Everyone else is like doing their thing. Sometimes I even close my eyes. And all I'm doing is I'm allowing my body to move freely. And I'm allowing that elongation to happen. I'm allowing the resonance to happen. I'm allowing all sorts of ease, efficiency to happen. So that when I open my eyes, I feel as if I just woke up from a power nap. I'm fresh, and I can breathe, and then I play. I'm awesome, so it's great. But it definitely helps by playing. It definitely helps by playing. So you may want to consider trying that. And it's kind of cool because you can either, you can either have your body do like the fundamental where it's like one big sine wave, or you can get fancy and have your head go the other way. I've never been able to do like three. It's for me, it's those two things. But if you just try to find those center points of balance where you're not really using any effort, and then you find out where your playpen is, your zero effort playpen, and just play, allow your body to kind of play around that playpen, you'll be amazed at how much ease that brings to your body, how much elongation it brings to the spinal area, the thoracic area, the respiratory area, and then how much resonance you can get while you play. Now here's something else you can do. There's something called a wobble board. This one. How many people have seen a wobble board before? Where have you seen it?
Physical therapy.
Physical therapy! I broke something, I strained something, I pulled something, so now I'm going to go on a wobble board. And what happens when I go on a wobble board?
Wobble.
You wobble. Oh man, I got to gauge all sorts of muscles and strengthen those little tiny muscles in that ankle I sprained last month, and then eventually you get strong. You'll do exercise. You'll do all that kind of stuff, and you get strong, okay. Well, I got a wobble board about 5 years ago when I started learning about all this kinesiology stuff for my playing. And you'd be amazed what happens to your playing when you start practicing a little bit on the wobble board. So what you do, because the thing is that I am an enclosed organism. I'm an enclosed organism on an unstable surface, which means my body has to come up with all sorts of little minute compensations of movement to make things balance and level out. And if I just think about elongation and ease, and at that point, I'm not using those phasic muscles to stand. And my breathing does this. Things open right out. It's quite amazing. But what happens is, I am now an organism that has a different center balance point. So this organism needs to figure out how to do it, right? But it can be done. It's a little tough to do on side. But you can always stand on a wobble board and then go, pick up the tuba. Start with single notes. You just try to get the breathing and happen nice and lightly. And actually what I'd like to do, and this will be kind of the conclusion, after this little presentation, if you want to come up and try the wobble board, you're more than welcome to. But Liz, can you play that last movement again? And I want to try it on a wobble board. I want to see what happens.
How do I try it on a wobble board?
I've never done that. I want to try it. No, we will both not be on the wobble board. I will sport my Huck Finn hands here. So one of the things, though, the goal here, the goal is not to necessarily get rid of the wobble. The goal is to let the body wobble on its own so that you can just kind of focus on, staying relaxed, staying easy, staying effortless. All right. and just wobble for a minute. And then when you get off the wobble board, it's amazing. A lot of the most common comment that people have is they feel like their feet actually start sprouting roots into the ground. And they feel so grounded and centered. It becomes so easy to stand because everything's balanced and everything's just, so efficient with their posture. The breathing and resonance becomes quite easy. So the two most, thank you, I appreciate what you're playing. Another round of applause for you. So as you continue your journey on improving and practicing and take auditions, now a lot of times when we take auditions or have those high pressure performances, we get a little more nervous. Yeah. A little more shortness of breath, muscles are contracting a little more tension, stress. So I am always looking for ways to add ease, to add elongation, and to add efficiency to my posture, my breathing, and my resonance. So the two things are the breathing thing we did. I guarantee, try it before your mock audition. It'll be amazing how much it comes.
What were you doing on mock audition? You're going to bring up the wall.
Can I do my mock audition from the wobble board?
Probably not. I would say,
You're
you're better when you're off the board. The board is a tool. So it's a tool to help you grow.
It's like a baseball player warming up with a heavier bat.
Yeah, the little donut. Yeah, it's a similar concept. So the wobble board, I Google search, Amazon search. I got the one for $20 plus $5 shipping. So they're not expensive if you wanted to be adventurous to get one. But you could also just stand on one foot. The same thing, you're still adding instability to the system, so you have to think about elongation, ease, and efficiency. And then when you put the other foot down, things are more aligned. Okay? So I just wanted to show you a couple things you can do, and I think that's pretty much all the information I have. If you would like to come up and try the wobble board, you can. Yeah, wobble board, blah, blah, blah. Choose for physical therapy. Let's try it. We did. So to recap, vibration is just displacement of energy. That's all it is. Alright? Our bodies resonate sympathetically, and that's actually where we get our resonance from. The more relaxed you are, the more resonance you will have. Triforce of power there. Legend of Zelda, anyone? I remember the first one.
Okay.
Instability will help resonance. Standing on a wobble board, going up on your toes, standing on one leg will help get more resonance in your body. I have a YouTube page. My name is Sulliman, and if you search that on YouTube, I put up all sorts of videos about stretches that I do, massages that I do for injury prevention, wellness, and increase of playing ease. So feel free to check it out. It's all free stuff for you. And then there's my card. So if you want to write down my email, if you ever have questions. Right now, you are aspiring to be college students, and in a year or two, you're going to be college students. I'll probably still be a college student, so therefore we will be colleagues. And then a couple years after that, when we're all graduated and we're all out having those amazing careers because we all spent time in CAP, we're going to be colleagues together. So feel free to call me if you ever have any questions because I'm very passionate about learning more about this stuff. All right? Thanks so much for listening. That's all I got.